What did Council approve within the general operating budget in October? To maintain the existing service levels and to pay our regular bills just like any other household, an increase of $3.84 per month was approved. Administration goes through the budget and adjusts for things like inflationary increases. This was kept lower as we utilized some grant funding to keep this in line with CPI. It is important to note that the monthly increase amount is based on a typical home assessed at $720,500 for the 2023 tax year. Communication support was also approved. This, in essence, could help with things like budget communications and improving their website and or helping with grant applications. The impact to a typical home would have been $2.05 per month. Many residents have indicated that there was not adequate communications to inform them of the budget pressures and the actual approved budget. This position would assist with the communications. However, many do not want to pay the associated increase. The fleet includes things like vehicles, backhoes, fire trucks, and lawnmowers. These pieces of equipment need to be replaced as they age. The existing practice was to replace items as required, which resulted in budget fluctuations. Proposed was a set amount to be set up which would enable a predictable funding source to replace the fleet based on the most economical way possible. Although this appears to be a budget increase, it in effect is leveling out the cost attributable to the various pieces of equipment. It will also enable a more strategic approach to replace and purchase vehicles. For example, is it more cost effective to trade in vehicles more regularly or potentially lease? Having secured funding provides this flexibility and in the end, more cost-effective management of the fleet. The resulting increase would have been $11.89 per month. Good financial management, as well as an opportunity to qualify for future grants, asset management plans are required. Knowing what we own, the condition thereof, and the cost to replace is important not only for a household, but the municipality as well. In 2021, 90% of the asset management plans for BC municipalities were completed and or in progress. Obviously, we were in the minority. However, we have made inroads with the completion of fleet, water, and sewer plans. Budgeted and or in progress are transportation, which includes roads, sidewalks, storm sewers, will be completed in about 15 months. Most buildings are expected to be completed by July, and recreation facilities and parks, trails, by July. The only outstanding plan not budgeted for is the agricultural irrigation water system, which we hope to address over the next couple of years. We are not certain of the amount required to help offset the infrastructure deficit for the remaining inventories. However, we do know that additional funding will be required. Starting to build a reserve to address the repairs and replace as required was started last year and was planned to continue this year. The sooner funding is in place, the sooner we can start planning for road repaving and trail repaving and street light removal and replacement. Last year was the first year that the town started this investment and was termed the Sustainability Fund. The resulting increase would have been $6.34 per month. The Public Service Accounting Board instituted a new accounting practice, which in effect means municipalities are to set up reserves to address the removal and cleanup of a site once the building has outlived its purpose and needs to be demolished. Although there are no penalties for not complying with this standard at this time, it is a best practice and sound financial management. This was similar to asset management plans. There were and are no fines for not doing them, but getting grants, if they are not in place, is nearly impossible. If we would have had asset management plans and implemented water conservation plans, the town could potentially already have a water treatment plant that was partially funded through grants. Putting funding towards this standard will position us well from not only a financial sustainability perspective, but it will likely become a grant requirement, much like asset management plans. We want to ensure we do not make the same mistake again. Over the next year, the town will determine what the requirement is and will need to build the fund. The increase attributable to starting this fund is $5.12 per month. The total of these increases equated to $29.24 per month to the average home valued at $720,500 for the 2023 tax year. A significant portion of the increase was to be directed to reserves to address larger projects. It is important to note that most capital projects are in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. So starting to put some funding into reserves will provide funding to start doing projects like paving a street or two in a couple years. It wouldn't be practical to pave half a street at a time if that is what 1 year's worth of savings would do. This is not unlike a typical household. If you know that your roof and heating systems need to be replaced in 2 to 4 years, most of us would start to save now so we'd have the money in place when the time comes to do the work. As with the example above, with street paving, most homeowners wouldn't replace half a roof in 1 year and the second half in the following year. Within the preliminary budget discussions and during, Council made several cuts to what was recommended by administration. These cuts included the following. Additional funding was requested for our long-term sustainability for our capital replacement requirements. This reduction totaled $19.44 per month. To offset some of the extraordinary inflationary increases and to assist with purchases over the next year and years to come, an additional $4.09 was requested but denied. There are numerous skills and resources that would assist administration in meeting the requirements and ultimately expectations of council and residents. These requirements were denied, which would have resulted in an increase of $12.27 per month. The result was that Council reduced the potential increase by $35.80 per month.